Finally, after years of waiting, the Tesla Roadster is finally here, and by God, is it a real monster on the road. Tesla has put the pedal to the metal when it comes down to both performance, design, and tech. And the long-anticipated Roadster is now sure to become the hypercar destroyer Elon always envisioned. And the best part is, we'll finally be getting it for the 2025 model year. So tell us, are you ready for this electric speed demon? Exterior. Conventionally gorgeous. One of the best parts of Tesla's designs is how conventional they are. Elon understood that to integrate electric vehicles into the automotive world, he had to keep them looking like regular cars, as this would have garnered and lured the greatest number of buyers. However, truth be told, all Teslas were extremely bland looking, especially once they started crowding our streets. Thankfully, the upcoming Tesla Roadster will retain this conventional philosophy. However, Tesla will have also made it extremely beautiful too. Honestly, we're yet to see a standard electric car that is nearly as beautiful as the Roadster. Starting with the front end, the Tesla Roadster will have a relatively soft slating on the nose, which will allow it to look very sleek and elegant. This elegance will be broken with a fair bit of sharp edges, most notable of which are the gorgeous slim and angry headlights, which are accented by fang-like creasing to remind you that this elegant car is a true speed devil underneath. The front reminds us of a mixture of Porsche and McLaren, but we can also see a bit of the pre-facelifted second generation of the Peugeot 508, which is, in our opinion, one of the best-looking sedans in the world. The side of the Roadster is softer than the front end, with a much more familiar teardrop shape, with prominent hips that make the vehicle look both more imposing, more athletic, and once again much more elegant than any of its imminent rivals, both electric and internal combustion-powered ones. That said, the more sharp-eyed ones amongst you will notice that the cabin looks far larger than on most of its rivals. This is for a reason, and while it makes the car look, well, a little bit bloated maybe, it is for a good reason. However, more on that later. The rear end, however, is our favorite part of the car. First, we adore how tall the rear license plate slot is, and it makes the car look more imposing and larger from the back than it is. In addition to that, the rear taillights and the boot lid have a bow-like arc, which once again helps with the car looking both wider and sleeker. And the rear diffuser and canards also give it that little bit of accenting that breaks the overarching elegance of the car. Just so Tesla can remind you that this will tear asphalt once you push the pedal to the metal. Oh, and the rising boot lid spoiler is also a perfect touch. Honestly, the overall design of the vehicle is much more conventional than most of the cars of the segment on offer, which, in our opinion, not just makes it stand out from the crowd, but also look more beautiful off them all. Overall, the character and philosophy of the exterior design reminds us of the Aston Martin DBS, the one driven by James Bond in Casino Royale, sophisticated yet aggressive. However, what's on the inside is what will blow your mind even more. Interior. Unconventionally practical. Now, it goes without saying that a vehicle of this size and of this type would have a rather tight interior. However, this isn't the case for the Tesla Roadster. You see, unlike virtually every supercar and hypercar at this price range, which are only two-seaters, the Tesla Roadster is a 2+2-seater, and we're not talking about those non-existent rear seats, like on the Porsche 911, for example. No, these are real, fully-fledged seats that real adults can sit in. You remember the slightly bulbous-looking cabin from the sides? Well, this is being done to allow for extra headroom for both front and rear passengers, which makes the rear headroom noticeably greater than on rivals. Sure, the sloping roofline will result in it still being relatively compromised. Shaquille O'Neal or Michael Jordan are surely going to have a tough time at the back of the vehicle. However, averagely sized adults will most certainly have enough space to be driven around for shorter journeys. The front seats are a different story though. Again, thanks to the larger headroom, the front seats will be much more accommodating for taller individuals, allowing for a far wider number of hypothetical buyers than most other supercars and hypercars. The seats will be nicely padded, however, they will be more sport-oriented than comfort-oriented. Sure, you won't be uncomfortable, but don't expect comfort on the same level as a Mercedes S-Class. That said, the technology used will be most certainly not just cutting edge, but state-of-the-art. The infotainment screen will be by far the largest Tesla has ever offered. It's going to be angled, and its vertical layout will amplify the sporty character of the vehicle. The screen will allow for all of Tesla's regular goodies such as playing games, having an eminently responsive navigation system, as well as being reserved for controlling the vehicle's functions through and through. The screen might change a bit before the vehicle is released, however, we do believe the layout will overall remain mostly the same. The steering wheel will be swapped out for sure though. The Tesla Roadster concept was the vehicle that pioneered the yoke steering wheel, which has since been met with an almost universal resistance and negative reception. As a result, Tesla has all but replaced it throughout the lineup, reversing the yoke only for those buyers that are willing to pay extra for it, which is a very minor percentage. We expect the Tesla Roadster to come with a steering wheel that is reminiscent of Tesla's current lineup. Currently, the Cybertruck and the new Tesla Model 3, just with sportier accents like a squared-off lower end, and say Alcantara and sporty stitching. Overall, the interior will by far be a massive improvement of what Tesla currently offers on its models. Range. A true grand tourer. Apart from being impressive inside and out, the Tesla Roadster will also be a menace to every other EV thanks to its enormous range. Tesla officials have previously stated that the Roadster will utilize 200 kilowatt-hour battery, which will grant it a maximum range of around 600 miles, albeit when used lightly. That said, this has been noted years ago, and nowadays with the rapid development of newer battery technologies, such as solid-state batteries or CATL's condensed battery, these figures are likely to rise even further if Tesla decides to follow in with other brands and offer newer battery types. Tesla is also close to perfecting their 4680 battery, which, albeit not as good as the two, will also result in the Roadster getting improved range. In our opinion, this won't be necessary, as the 600-mile range is more than enough for this type of vehicle. It's more than double compared to the Maserati Gran Turismo Folgore, which is its direct EV competitor, and more than any of its gasoline-powered competition. Not to mention that charging times will also be superior to its competition too, which is even more impressive because it'll have a 200 kilowatt-hour battery at the least. But this battery isn't only here because of the range. Oh no, there is a much more pressing reason. It has to be fitted to the Roadster. Performance. No substitute for the Roadster. The Tesla Roadster, once it was first announced, was said to have a 0 to 60 time of around 1.9 seconds. Initially, everybody ridiculed Tesla for a claim like this, as no vehicle at that point could do such ridiculous acceleration. However, only a few years later, Tesla made the Model S Plaid, which is a full-size sedan that could do 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. With this stunt, Tesla managed to shut up even the most vocal of its haters and made us wonder how much faster cars can get at this point. The Roadster has been the one that interests us the most, as because it's noticeably lighter, more performance-oriented, and much smaller and more aerodynamic, it could shed the S-Plaid's time by a noticeable margin. As a result, it is very logical to expect that the Roadster will be able to achieve sub 1.9 second 0 to 60 time. And that's if the powertrain doesn't change compared to the Model S Plaid, and we know that it will. For starters, this vehicle will have a better battery, if nothing else. However, Elon Musk also announced the most likely inclusion of a 4-motor powertrain, which would allow all 4 wheels to get equal amounts of power at peak performance, which will, and these are Elon's words, grant the Roadster a 0 to 60 time of sub 1 seconds, which will give it a force that is more than 2 times the gravitational force. This is basically as much force as a smaller airplane. In addition to this, Elon has also stated that the Roadster will be able to reach a top speed of, wait for it, 250 miles per hour. That's 402 kilometers per hour for all you metric folks, making this easily one of the fastest vehicles that's currently on offer. The suspension setup, however, won't be anything that sophisticated. The Roadster will be engaging to drive, however, you shouldn't expect it to be the end-all be-all, as Tesla is mostly interested in acceleration. In fact, the best thing about it is that it will practically annihilate even the most expensive of vehicles when it comes down to sheer speed and acceleration, such as the Rimac Nevera or the newest Bugatti Tourbillon, both of which will cost between 10 and 20 times more than the Tesla Roadster. Speaking of the price, the Tesla Roadster will cost around $200,000 for the base model, which will be the only model available in the beginning, save for the limited Founders Edition, which is set to cost $250,000. And even though this might sound like a lot, you'll also be getting quite a lot of car for the money. That said, we have to say that this price tag will most likely be true for the tri-motor variation. The 4-motor will certainly be more expensive once they hit the market, but even it won't be drastically more expensive. Also, Elon might be inflating these figures a bit, as he is known for such populism. Just look at the Cybertruck. As a result, despite our overarching enthusiasm, we'd still take everything that Elon says with a pinch of doubt.